Hey gang, and welcome back to Pool School. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to replace a backwash hose. So, if you have a DE filter or a sand filter, from time to time, unless you've hard plumbed your backwash pipe to some outlet somewhere, you're probably going to have to replace the backwash hose because it's going to get old and it's going to get brittle and it'll crack. So it's a pretty simple process, but you're going to need to get some of this, and this is a length of 25 feet of backwash hose, and this one obviously is by Pool Style, and you can get this kind of stuff online, and it usually comes, if you notice inside, with those clamps. Now, I use it to replace several different hoses from different clients, and so they already have clamps, but if you have your own pool and you have your own backwash hose and everything, you can just use the clamps that come with it, and these come in different lengths, and they have them like in 50-foot lengths, 75-foot lengths, I think even 100-foot lengths, I think they have them in 10-foot lengths. Anyway, that's the kind of hose you're going to want. It's a blue backwash hose, and now let's go see how to put it in. Okay, so this is a DE filter, and there's the backwash hose. You can see the backwash pipe, and the hose has got a clamp on it, and it comes out and it wraps around, and you notice if you look right there, you can see it's already cracked. So this thing has multiple leaks. It's very dry and brittle, and I've shortened it and adjusted it a lot. See right there, see that tear right there? So this hose is in desperate need of replacement. Now you notice at the end of this hose is a little piece of PVC pipe that's clamped on there, and a lot of times I do that because when you backwash a filter, sometimes the water puddles up, and then the end of that thing, the end of the hose, if it doesn't have any weight on it, starts flipping around, and sometimes it bends in half and it blows the hose out. So I just use something like that as like a hack in order to keep the hose stretched out so that it doesn't flop around when it gets in a puddle of water. If you have good drainage, you won't really have to worry about that. Not all of my pools have one of these on the end of it that I backwash. It's just this particular one needs it because there's not a lot of great drainage in this backyard where we backwash it, so it tends to puddle up. So anyway, that's what that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a standard screwdriver, because these clamps have standard screwdriver heads, and I'm going to unscrew this and loosen that. And then I'm going to also unscrew and loosen this, and then take this old piece of hose out, okay? I'm not going to bore you with watching me do that. You can also, there's sockets that you can put on those too, and you can use a socket to do that, but screwdriver is easier for me. That way I carry less tools. So I'm going to loosen that up and take it off, and then I'll join you back in a second. Something else to notice is when I loosen these things, I only loosen them enough so that there's a little bit of a gap. I don't unscrew them completely because that's a real beast to have to put those all back together. So you need to do something like that. And then the other thing to notice is these hoses, they get stuck on here. They get kind of embedded on there. So I'll take my screwdriver and kind of jam it in there and loosen it, or I'll just take a knife and cut the hose so it's free. So I've got a knife, so I'm gonna set this up so you can see me do this. So I'm gonna set it right like that. And I believe you can see. I'm just going to take my knife like this. Now obviously careful not to cut yourself. I'm just going to cut that free, and then it comes right off, okay? So, and I would do the same thing on the other side where it attaches to the backwash pipe. So here I'm making my cut, and you have to cut a little bit more. Again, careful not to cut yourself. People always say, don't cut towards yourself. Well, I do. So that's my disclaimer. Be careful. And then it kind of peels off. And there it is. Alrighty? So now that I've got that, I'm going to measure myself out a length of hose and attach a new piece. People ask me a lot of times, well, how long should I make the backwash hose? Well, it depends on where you want your hose to go. So in this case, I want enough to run the hose to the area that it normally drains at. So in this particular pool, we're looking at about 10 to 12 feet. I usually give myself a few extra feet, so that way notoriously the ends, whether it's the water outside or where it attaches to the backwash pipe, they tend to crack and get brittle sooner. And so a lot of times what I can do is it buys me some time instead of having to replace the entire backwash hose. As it gets older and it does do that, then I can cut it and shorten it and not have to just replace the entire length of hose. So I'm going to give myself about 12 to 13 feet of this to make enough so that it gives me a little extra so that I can shorten it as time goes. So again, like I said, it buys me more time than I have to, so I don't have to replace an entire piece of hose in one shot. I can just shorten it as needed. So I've got my backwash hose and my knife. So this is the start of my length of backwash hose by the pipe. And I'm just gonna roll it out and run it all the way to here. This is about where I backwash this filter. So I'm gonna give it a couple extra feet, take my knife. I'm gonna fold this piece. I'm gonna come over here so you can see it. I'm gonna fold this piece in half like this and then bend it. Now I can take my knife and fit it in there and just slice, and it'll cut the whole thing pretty easily and give me a fairly straight cut like that, okay? And then I'm gonna open that end up. And I'm gonna take this extra length that I have and roll it up and save it for another client, because I have other clients that have backwash hoses too, and so I just use them on that. Again, this one comes with an extra clamp, and it usually only comes with one because it's meant to attach right down here where the backwash pipe is, right there. Yeah? Okay? But I'm just going to use the one that's existing because I don't really need to use a new one, and I'll just put this other one away for future use. So a couple quick tips on doing this. First of all, again, I've loosened these ends so that there's enough play in them. But sometimes I might have to grab my screwdriver and unscrew them a little bit more. Oh, now the neighbor's dog's out and he's going to greet me. Anyway, so I open that up enough, and I'm going to slip my hose clamp over the end of the hose. Okay, so this is what I do, all right? And when I slip that over the hose, then I'm going to open this end up. Sorry about the barking dog. And again, I got to kind of separate it and pull it open like that, okay? Now, once I get it open, I'm going to take this, and sometimes I'm going to have to pull on it like this to stretch it so it'll get over the pipe, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this pipe, which basically is just like the other side, to demonstrate how I do this. So I got to stretch this out enough so I can get it over the end of the pipe, right? And then I carefully slip it over the end of the pipe like so. See, it takes a little bit of finagling because the hose is rolled up flat. So it takes a little bit of coercion and finagling and sometimes pleading and begging to get this thing to go on. But then once I get it over the end of the pipe, it usually then starts to slide on fairly easy. And I have people say, well, why don't you just lubricate it? I guess you can. I've never had to because it's not that big a deal. It just takes a little bit of work. And I just kind of slide it up like that, and twisting it will help as well. Okay, so I give it enough room like that, and then I just take the end, my clamp on the end, and I just slide it on to the end of the pipe. So that you get a little bit of room here. I don't go too far. Some people go way up. Just go as far as you need to, because again, the further up you go, the longer the length is, it'll probably break, and then you end up having to replace it sooner. So there's my little screw. I just take my screwdriver, or if you have a socket that fits it, that's fine, and I just tighten it down. And you notice I kind of hold my hand on it so that the clamp obviously doesn't spin as I do it, right? So just like so. Keep tightening it, make sure it's on the pipe and it's not just tightening on empty hose. And once I do that, careful not to stab yourself either as you tighten this. I make it pretty snug, and there it is. Okay, so that's what I would do also. This is obviously the end of the hose where the water will go out, and I told you why I use that. But this is also how you would do it on the backwash pipe. So I'm going to do that myself, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so there is the backwash pipe, and I have my clamp, my hose clamped onto it, and then the length goes like that. That's a part of the old hose right there, and it just runs out, and this is where I usually do my backwashing, to the other end. One thing to keep in mind, a little note, when you put your clamp on the backwash pipe, depending on how your pipes are configured, you see how this pipe is in the way right here? I make sure that where the screwdriver fits in is clear so that I can get my screwdriver in there without banging into pipes and things like that. So this is where I want it. If I put it on the other side, then I have to get all in here and get behind all this stuff, and it makes for a little bit of a beast. So again, putting it where you can access it, and you know, sometimes you can flip this the other way, flip the clamp if that's the side that's better and easier accessible, but you want to be able to access this screw or this nut. And that's pretty much it. So remember, that's my length. And then what I do is, for this particular pool, I just kind of fold it up gently and I'll put it right there by the filter. One thing to keep in mind when you have a backwash or you have a filter that needs backwashing and you have a backwash hose is keep your hose in a place where that it's not getting exposed to direct sunlight. The more sunlight you can keep off of it, the longer the hose is going to last you. So in this particular case, we're in the wintertime, so it's not too bad. And in Arizona, the sun is brutal. But I would tend to say if you can find a spot near the filter where it provides some natural shade for your hose, that would, again, prolong the life of your hose. And there you have it, folks. That's how you change the backwash hose of a filter that requires backwashing. And that, again, would be a DE or sand filter, because cartridge filters don't need backwashing. Thanks again for watching. Remember to like and share this channel. Make sure you share it with any friends that have their own pool and are looking to maybe save some money and learn how to handle just basic maintenance of their pool. And if you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comments section below this video, or you can always email me directly at kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Again, the email address should appear right here, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. It is wintertime. You can tell I'm wearing a jacket. Yep, in Arizona, it does get cold in the wintertime. But remember, you have a pool and there's still water in it. So please, please, please have a wonderful holiday season. Enjoy, rejoice, have fun, be safe, but always, always, always watch your kids around water. And I will see you next time.